So, Chris, you know more than me. You reckon we're live, yeah?
Meeting is now streaming live and recording.
Good stuff.
There you go.
So I've got Chris from Valspar. We've had a few people join into this Zoom, and I launched it as an event on Zoom in the group, and for some reason it kind of creates like a chat now. So it's only happened the last couple of times I've done an event in the group. So then suddenly we've got all this chat going on, and but it's quite interesting, the conversations. But I just wanted to, I met Chris at a paint show last year, really top bloke. You know, I liked what he had to say about Valspar, and I haven't used them yet, I must admit. But what I see is like such a diverse sort of comments on your product. So, you know, I've seen loads in the group where people are like, oh, it's just brilliant, you know, especially the darker colors, it covers in two and it's amazing. And then others are dead against it. And I thought it'd just be great to get you on because lots of us use it, and it'd just be good to find out a bit more about it. And I know we've got Richard coming on, who's going to talk a bit about the kind of background and journey of where you are now. But I believe, Chris, you're going to start off by, you know, we've done a poll and there's a few questions and there's a few bits that come up in the chat. So it'd be good to sort of work our way through some of it, if that's okay.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, thanks for having me on, Gary. Really appreciate it. Richard's actually joined as well. I can see him there in the...
Hi, Gary.
Hi, how are you, Richard?
Very well, thank you. And yourself?
Yeah, good. Nice to see you.
Yeah, sort of echo your sort of thoughts, meeting at the P&D show. I just think what you're doing with the Brush Wizards is slightly different to what everyone else does. So it's just sort of a no-brainer to get to know you, get to know your community that you've built up. And yeah, I think it all falls on you, that it's more of a positive, believe it or not, more of a positive community to be involved with. So to come on and have the chance, and for you to give us a chance to speak to yourself and the guys and record it. Yeah, just thank you very much. But yeah, if I start with a couple of these poll questions that came up, and Rich, I'm sure you'll jump in as well. The first one I've got is, and I think this might be an industry-wide issue, so if anyone wants to pipe up on that, when will you sort out the problem with the plastic tin and the dried paint inside? Now, I believe this for us is obviously only on 10-litre tins because they're plastic. Richard, I think you might know the actual technical reason this happens. I think you explained it the other day.
Yeah, there's a few things bouncing around the industry of why this could potentially be happening. Obviously, transportation. Obviously, as the paint gets transported around, it bounces up and it hits the top of the lids and things like that. Does dry and can cause a skim. I have heard in the industry that it may be something to do with plastics and the fact that tubs aren't as strong as they used to be, so they're sagging a little bit and dipping into the paint and stuff like that. I think obviously they've still got to be well made enough so that they can stack 48 tubs to a pallet and be transported around. So obviously anti-skimming agent is added to paint to ensure that this is kept to a minimum, but obviously as with anything, adding more products into something to try and alleviate that is an additional cost. And we all know that cost is going up every day, as we can see in the market. So is there going to be a resolution to this anytime soon? Probably the answer is no, I'm afraid. But
you're definitely not the only paint company that has the problem. You know, it's not just yourselves for sure. It's, you know, I notice a lot of comments, and especially in the summertime when it gets a bit hotter and it's drying, and you know, it's just yeah, you're not alone.
I think one key thing here is whether you're in your breweries, your DDCs, B&Qs, if you're having a 10-litre tub tinted, just ask them nicely, look, when you take the lid off before you shake that up, do you mind just scraping that, you know, the dried paint off the lid, and just be extra careful. And other than that, carry a pair of, you know, the wife or girlfriend's tights in the van and get it strained, which is the age-old solution, I think. But yeah, certainly an industry-wide issue. I'm sure there's people looking into it, as Richard says.
Yeah, bigger brains than us, Chris.
That's not difficult. So anyone then. Moving on. Will they ever do eggshell instead of silk? Now, I would say we do a mid-sheen in the premium range. It depends, I guess, what they're sort of saying what it's for. So if it's for bathrooms, then we do a soft sheen. Richard?
They're asking for eggshell on the walls, aren't they?
Yeah.
We've been banging on about it. All of our trade sales specialists that we've brought into the business have been banging on about it. I'd love to say that we'll have it this time next week. We won't, but I can assure you it's on my wants list. And I know it's on our team's wants list. And if it's on their wants list and on the customers' must-haves, then eventually I'm sure we'll have a product that will be called eggshell for walls and ceilings.
Nice, there you go. So the next one on here, which had a few sort of a couple of ticks on it, was: is there any suggestion as to why the trade paint pulls back off the wall on an initial coat? I mean, this is not something I hear about regularly. And if you think we've got 301 B&Q trade point stores that we exclusively sell Valspar and Valspar trade through, every day, the amount of paint we sell, I'm sure you're going to get isolated incidents where there could be an adhesion issue with what you're going on to. We don't know what's on that wall, how many layers, how long it's been on there, if it's greasy. There's like a myriad of reasons why you could come into adhesion problems and paint peeling off the wall. And it's really hard, without knowing specifics, to know exactly what to do. But that is exactly what myself as a trade specialist and my colleagues, and Richard to an extent, that's what we are. We've become that point of contact for Valspar, which Valspar have never had. We now work with the trade. You pick up the phone, you speak to me, I'll come to your site, we'll have a look. Whatever happens, we'll help sort that issue. But again, specifics like that, and I think I posted a link into your group the other day, Gary, and it's a link to our website where you can look at the reps in your area. It's got all of our contact details. Honestly, just pick up the phone and speak to us. And I think that's the best we can do with that. But yeah, without a specific reason. Richard, you got anything to add on that?
No, totally agree with you. There could be a myriad of reasons why that's happening on this particular instance. It could be preparation, as you mentioned. It could be the substrate that it's sticking to. It could just be the fact that it hasn't dried quite quick enough, and it is pulling it off, or not dried well enough. But yeah, until you see the location and understand the pretext to how that happened, then obviously, like you said, we sell so much of it that it's an isolated incident potentially.
Just a quick one, guys. People are streaming it into the group, as you know, and people are asking or saying a few comments. So we do it at the end, or should I do it as we go along? What do you reckon?
You can do it as you go along, yeah.
Let's do that.
So just one point here, trade durable mat was fine. Just tried the tough mat and it pulled off. Really disappointed. Was a good product before it changed to tough mat. Would that have any significance, or?
No, it's really interesting because 99% of the conversation we have is the other way around. But
Right.
Everybody prefers tough mat now to the old trade mat if they had used it previously. Obviously, we're doing an awful lot more. We are growing the brand. We're growing interest, and more people are using the product. So, like I said, that was probably maybe potentially an isolated incident. What I would engage that person to do is go onto the Valspar Trade website, have a look for the TSS like Chris in your local area, and they can come out and have a chat. Obviously, you may well have finished that project and moved on, but we can certainly try to help you out and bear some of the brunt that you've had with that, and maybe give you a free tin or something to ease the pain.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's comments. It's such a mix. Like V700 is a good bit of gear. I love your paint.
So that's really interesting. If we go back, because I was looking at the messages and stuff today, and we get so much conversations about retail paint, trade paint, what people want. If the customer buys it, it's fine, but I would never be seen carrying in a tin of Valspar retail into a business. And it's a really, really interesting thing. So to create some of the myths, Valspar started dealing with B&Q around about 9-10 years ago. They won the contract to win the in-house tinting business with B&Q. That was before Sherwin-Williams owned Valspar. Sherwin-Williams, who's the largest manufacturer of paints and coatings in the world, bought Valspar in 2017 when that relationship was in its fledgling infancy. At the time, it was the biggest ever purchase of two companies buying each other. Sherwin-Williams, for the people that don't know, as I mentioned, are the biggest in America. They have their own decorating centers, very much like the main brands over here. And yeah, they have over 4,000 decorating centers, massive in specification. It's the name that everybody goes to. They're the number one on the top. So our relationship and heritage now with Valspar's being over 150 years old in its own guise. And the way that those two businesses have merged together, and now the offering that gives us with the history and heritage of both businesses, understanding the business as is in America, and having all that R&D facilities, all those technical knowledges, being the number one brand in the US, it does provide us with a huge opportunity over here. Then obviously you get the remit between trade paint and retail paint. And what everybody has to understand is that a retailer will come to a business, whether it be us or whether it be anybody else, and say, I want to pay X amount for my paint. And the manufacturers will go away and manufacture a product that will give them what they need to a specification potentially at a price point that suits everybody for them to go away and do it. The other things that we have to take into consideration is most of the people that will buy Valspar retail or any other retail paint are not professional decorators. There's probably a lot of not professional decorators that do it for a full-time job. I think they're called gardeners. But these people don't understand the flow, the way that paint's supposed to be done, the way that a bedroom or a wall's supposed to be cut in and then rolled. They go off and have lunch halfway through painting a room. So retail paint is actually probably a lot easier to use because you're getting people that aren't professionals, don't know how to do it. I've got kids running around their feet, trying to cook dinner whilst they're trying to do a wall. So we try and make those paints as easy as possible to use. Whereas obviously trade paints, it has better quality binders, better quality titanium dioxide, resins, and all those other things that we put into these paints to make it do exactly what a tradesman would like it to do. So the real thing, but there are some really fantastic retail paints out in the market. I'm going to say our premium is, but it's hypoallergenic. It's been signed off what we call lifekind technology. So it's children and pet safe. So there are all these things that some people are looking for. We're trying to look how we amalgamate all these different technologies and stuff into future products. But overall, I think sometimes in this industry we have a real bee in our bonnet about you have to use trade paint. We are professionals, and I totally get that. And there are some fantastic trade paints, but there are some fantastic retail paints out there as well. But that's just a little bit about Valspar, retail, trade. So yeah, that's it. And we've just launched a brand new product, which is really, really good to compete into that premium brand called V&Co. Which is our newest dead flat matte 2% sheen, scrubbable, stain resistant, really beautiful curated colors, but also can be matched into anybody else's and all 2.2 million colors that we do. So it's just another offering in our bow that's that real next level premium paint into the market, which is really, really nice, and it's going down really well.
So that's in available now, is it, Richard?
Available now, yeah, in all B&Qs.
On the back of that, I'll just add that I'll put the link to the TSS page, so the trade specialist page, on the comment section of this video. So these people who have got issues can contact us directly, and we can sort that out.
I think the point about B&Q is like that's obviously a retail outlet, so you know it looks like. You know, but the fact is it's just where you guys sell it, right? So it's trade paint, but it's just distributed through like B&Q, simple as that.
And again, interesting question about B&Q. They're the number one seller of paint in Europe, and it's not just all retail paint. So they're huge. They sell massive volumes of paint. They do have their trade point, as you can see behind Chris there. And it's interesting, they B&Q understand that a lot of people go to B&Q, certainly through the pandemic, when a lot of other stores were shut. And B&Q understand that they have a fantastic offering and the ability to be able to cater for more traders. So they are they're not a retail space anymore. They are a trade space. They're set up a little bit differently to our common merchants, whether it be plumbing, electrical, and everything like that. But you'll see a lot of changes through the TradePoint offering over the next few years, months, days, and what they're trying to achieve there as well. So it would be very interesting to see how that progresses. Hence why they're asking people like us to get on with this journey with them. Not just us. I know they're going through plumbing, electrical, and other products to make sure they offer everything to everybody.
And we can help that journey for our customers. You know, we're looking to help support, you know, the trade professionals, the paint professionals. So it could be just I turn up with a coffee, you know, meet a client outside TradePoint, and we walk in, we meet the guys there on the counter, we walk to the mixing center and we do that introduction. I mean, one of the main things that, or the feedback I get, why do you shop in X, Y, and Z? There's always a one name of one person in that store. Price plays a part, okay, it can do, and depends on your client as the trade professional. But ultimately, people go and buy paint or anything off people that they like. So we can just be that sort of, you know, that go-between, that in-between, and just make everything happen and offer that service to anyone who wants it, basically.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing service, in all honesty. Obviously, there's been, you know, you can just tell a massive investment for that to happen. But yeah, so do we have any more? There was a few bits, Chris, wasn't there, on the polls and chats and stuff?
Yeah, there's a
Why uni with a Facebook?
Someone's excited.
I just
So the next one word, any chance we could get some fan decks to show our clients? That is the question that everybody asks. In short, yes. In long, get in touch with us and we can sort them out. That is a massive investment for us, by the way, and all the deck companies. Ours costs stupid money to produce, but of course, this is something we want to give people the tool, the opportunity to have and use. So yeah, again, get in touch with us via the link. We'll sort that out. Absolutely. Next question on there was, is there a possibility to be able to order direct rather than having to go buy from B&Q? Yes, you can order directly from TradePoint B&Q. So a couple of things. TradePoint offer 2 tiers of discount at the moment, which is a 5 or 10% discount. They're based on spend levels, which I won't go into detail on yet, but again, you can contact me if you want to know. You can also apply for Trade UK credit, so you can have a credit account, various levels of you know, spend available with different sort of invoice periods on that, whether it's 30 to 50 days, is it, Rich?
It can be up to 60 days,
60 days.
credit on Trade UK, so it's a fantastic offering, really.
Yeah, and yeah, so let's look at the question again.
There's no delivery services. It is, you have to obviously go into.
No. Yeah, sorry. There is delivery. So they do next day delivery. You can click and collect and go into store, or you can have delivery direct to site or to your home next day. There is a small charge for orders under 50 quid. Over that, it's free of charge. So
I think nowadays that's not too difficult to get over 50 quid, is it?
About one to paint from us, I think.
That's one litre, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Our prices up.
Just a quick one on that point. I'm just looking at the questions. So they only offer, someone's saying they only offer a 10% discount no matter how much you buy. Right.
Well, yeah, 10% at the moment is the biggest discount that B&Q do. But I have so many conversations where I am presented with invoices from customers that shop at various other trade centres, and they give me a number like 20, 30, 40% discount. And that price isn't necessarily cheaper than what you get from us. So all I'd say is it's a number. The ultimate number is the number you're paying. If price is your driver, which is great. I mean, when I go shopping to the supermarket, I mean, we go to Aldi, so it tells you everything you need to know about me and my mindset. If price is your driver, let me look at your invoices. Let me show you what we can do, because 40% is 40% off what? And 10% is 10% off what? It kind of means nothing to me without seeing, you know, getting down to brass tacks and seeing what we're looking at here.
Yeah, the guys totally agree with Chris there. Out of the 9 TSSs that we have now, I've had regular conversations with all of them telling me he showed me his price and we're actually cheaper without the 10%, which is funny. But yeah, it is. We get this concept, don't we? I'm getting 50% discount. You're like, I must be getting the best price ever then. But if you're getting 50% off 200, then you're still paying £100, aren't you? So yeah, it's have a look at it. Actually, take it in. The shelf edge price is always available in B&Q. Obviously, that is the price you see on the shelf is including VAT, because B&Q is set up as a retail thing. So you haven't got to add the 20% to that. You're getting the 10% off it. And then, as we know, B&Q runs some fantastic offers throughout the year as well. As you can see behind Chris, we've got 3 for 2 on at the minute.
Somebody just asked about that, yeah.
That's running for another week, and that's on all mixed paint. So £85 for 10 litres of our Tough Matte currently. Buy 3 of them, get 1 free.
Yeah, superb, yeah.
There is a few more on the poll. Where was I? Does it come with a Stetson? Well, I'll tell you what. If you buy enough paint,
we have some beanies, but we don't have any Stetsons.
Look, I'll buy you a blooming horse if you buy enough paint of me. I'm telling you. So, come on, that's to be confirmed.
That's what I say about my group. As much as you know, you've had a few jokey sort of ones, and a few people go generally like, you know, with me and taping up and stuff, I'll make a joke of it and we banter, and you know, people say it's not the right way to work. I don't care, but you know, I'd like to think that some of the comments haven't been too harsh. It's more kind of,
it's interesting,
a bit of banter.
Yeah, and people are, it's interest as well, because people don't, we are Valspar, people haven't potentially heard the Valspar name. They don't necessarily know that we've done a trade version of our product since 2015, but it's languished in the trade aisle of B&Q for that long that we haven't got behind it. B&Q haven't wanted us to get behind it, and we're at this opportunity now where it really does need to be pushed out more into the market, into the industry. It is a fantastic product, and B&Q's pricing, although people deem it that 10% isn't a big enough discount, is actually very, very competitive in a lot of things. So yeah, it's an interesting prospect for people, and we're hearing more and more people closing accounts or moving over or using us as another option because the product, how many B&Qs they are, their accessibility, the fact that we're getting out with a team of people and industry experts to be able to help them, visit them on site, whereas potentially they don't fit into that big enough bracket to be looked after by other paint manufacturers, and just try and work with everybody really. So yeah, it's proving well, it's proving successful, and hopefully long may it continue.
Yes. Next question on the list. Do you have a ceiling paint similar to AR2?
Short answer is no. We have our vinyl matte that we've recently just launched, which I've recently just been told is actually could be down to a sheen level of a similar to a dead flat matte. Obviously that is a vinyl. The AR2 is a latex based product, but our vinyl matte is a very good product. Some of the reviews and things we've had back about it is that it is a very good product for those large ceilings, no flashing, the ability to be able to be touched up and stuff like that. So I would urge you, if you are interested and do like the AR2 product, then certainly give the team a call and let them get you some of the vinyl into your hands, because it's a good product and tintable in, again, 2.2 million colours.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, great, your honesty, because, you know, there's every paint, it's got you know, every manufacturer, we use different ones, we mix and match, and you know, it's good that you've got your honesty and sort of said no, you haven't just yet. What I would say is, you know, I'm a big fan myself of lots of products, but Tikkurila in particular, and the fact that, you know, I like their vinyl matte, you can spot it in, it doesn't flash. And with your emulsions, is that sort of similar?
A lot of our emulsions, there's a lot of the reviews and feedback we're getting, certainly our Tough Matte. Obviously, a lot of people talk about the durability mats, those scrubbable products, and the fact that they do have a mild sheen to them, because they do have probably a lot more acrylic resin in them to be able to last and test up to those standards, and they don't touch up, and they don't can have a potential to flash and things like that. And that's one of the feedback that we have been getting, the reviews that you can all read online, is both the vinyl and the Tough Matte have are really quite good for touching up and for the flatness of them, for the products that they are. Obviously vinyl, again, a lot of people say can be quite shiny, but ours is down there at a 3-4% sheen level, which does give it that flatter matte basis, which is what you need when you're doing those large surfaces.
Just someone saying here, trouble I have is staff availability in stores, often waiting for a long time. So I guess one way to overcome is what we just spoke about in terms of getting it delivered, right?
Yeah, very much so. We're looking all the time at how we can improve that delivery service with B&Q. Obviously, they do have the next day. We're starting to get a lot of our stores onto their click and collect service. And then if they don't have enough stock in the store that day, then it is a next day service, either to site or into store. We're looking at ready mix products currently because obviously having to do the tinting and all those sorts of systems. But there are all of our ready mix products up to 5 litre sizes are constantly available on their click and collect service or delivery to site service. And that is good volumes as well. So you can order 10, 20, 30, 40 of those if you needed to. We are looking at how we can certainly get there with next day deliveries of 10 litres and tinted and all of those sorts of things. And it's obviously lots of projects running and trying to build up the availability for everybody to have it in such an on-demand way that our life is nowadays.
Yeah.
The other
Chris,
thing
do we have any more, Chris? Any more questions?
Yeah, there's one really interesting one which I will read out. Where's it gone? Okay, so when we fix the deep base in brackets C, which is for darker colours, to cover better, and this is a really interesting one as well. Excuse me. So, I mean, obviously it depends what you're going over. If there's a big transition between light to dark, we have tintable primers for let's say for walls, for example. So you can tint in 4 different shades of grey. So depending on the jump in light to dark, you basically get a sort of a cheaper quality paint. It's grey and it helps that in transition. So we've always had this, actually. Maybe we've not shouted, we've not sung and danced about it enough. Some of the tins tend to gather dust in the mixing centres. So we can definitely do more there to recommend that, having that conversation with, you know, that when someone's getting their paint mixed, what are you doing? What colour is it? What colour is it going to? And just giving that gentle reminder, look, it's going to take 3, 4. If it's a real obscure dark colour, it could end up taking more. It's just the nature of it. And some people might not know, when you tint paint, when you put the pigment in, essentially what you're doing is diluting it and weakening or worsening the quality of the paint. So the more in there, the darker the colour, essentially, the worse the paint, the worse the quality of the paint. So it's going to need more coats. So that cheap grey or that grey primer and then 2 coats of your dark coat should always give you that finished look. Okay, without that, it's a lottery, and I'm 99.9% certain that's not just a Valspar sort of show and issue.
No, it's an industry problem with these deep colours. There's a lot of manufacturers that don't tint certain products into deep colours because they know there are issues. Obviously, we want to be able to tint and give everybody our whole basis is talking about colour and love, and the emotive of colour and love your colour guarantees and all those sorts of things you have. So obviously, if we talk about how paint is tinted, so we have 3 levels of base. We have A, B, and C. A being your light colours, B mid-range, and C your deep tone colours. So obviously in there you have the constitution of what makes paint. You have the bases in there. Obviously A, we're trying to give you guys 5 litres of paint. So base A may have 4.95 litres of paint in there, and then the ink gets squirted, the pigment gets squirted in the top. Again, slightly less in there. And when you come to a base C, depending on some of those colours that we're trying to produce, you have to put an awful lot of pigmentation in there. And pigment doesn't cover. Pigment doesn't have any basting out power, opacity, or anything like that. It's just purely driving colour into what you could class as a white base. But obviously 4.5 litres, so you might be putting half a litre of pigment into that. And obviously what really gives us the opacity and gives paint opacity is titanium dioxide. Titanium dioxide is a heavy metal that gets crushed down through processes to make it really white. When you pick up tins of paint, you notice the weight difference in tins of paint. Heavy tin of paint will have lots and lots of titanium dioxide in there, which will give really good opacity and cover hopefully in really good 1 or 2 coats. Obviously, the more pigments you have to put into these products, the more difficult it is. So if you're trying to go over a white wall that undoubtedly has lots of pigment in it and titanium dioxide, because that was what was on the wall before, and then you're trying to go over something that hasn't got so much, but it's got lots of color and really, then it's going to grin through, and it will do. So what you have to do is you have to knock down that white, you have to knock down that magnolia, that light gray, whatever is on that wall. If you think that wall was painted in a base A, in a light base, you need to put something on it to dull it down before you go on with the top coat. Like Chris said, we have the tintable primers in different levels. We have grey primer straight off the back, our primer undercoat, and it's designed to perfectly do that. So what you might end up doing is end up putting 3 coats on, 1 primer, 2 top. But what you're not having to do then is having to put 2 of them on, then another 2, and then 2, and you end up putting 4, 5, 6 coats on. What's amazing is we don't talk about it in the industry. We don't talk about the solution, but people would much prefer to put 3 coats on than 5. So the solution to that is you've got to put a primer coat on or an undercoat. We call it a primer undercoat, because we're just being wordy and big. But then obviously what you're getting then is you're getting a really good base to start from, and then 2 coats of that and you'll be well away. I've been doing it in my house. I've gone from like magnolia coloured walls to what we call sooty lashes, which is a really dark blacky grey. And I didn't know, so I bought the primer undercoat as well, and I've used that first, and then 2 coats, and this black walls are amazing. So you've got to do what's right for the job, just like you would with preparation, just like you would with any other stain blocking, solvent, problem solving products. If you think of it as a problem solving primer to be able to stop that issue, then those 3 coats aren't really an issue.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Richard. I didn't know any of that, so that's certainly helpful, you know. And I know, like Farron Ball, everyone knocks Farron Ball, but they always say, you know, use a primer, 100% use a primer, and then you can supposedly go on 2 after. But yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it?
And yeah, it's even the same with some slightly lighter colours as well, some really light yellows and stuff. Certainly if you're going over a white, that white always grins through. Again, just because purely those white yellows, those yellow tints and pigments just don't have the opacity to hold it back. So again, a light grey, bang a light grey primer on there and then go over with the yellows, and you'll see a much bigger difference.
Just a quick question, Richard, on that. I've noticed it before. I haven't used Valspar, like I say, but when you do a really dark colour, dark blue or dark red, it seems to kind of mark easy. Is that a ridiculous statement, or is that because of all the pigment that goes in, which makes it less durable? Or I don't know.
Again, we still test all of our products up to, say, that class 1. And I heard you having a conversation. I was watching one of the other ones the other day where we talk about class 1 in the industry, and maybe some of the other people at the public that we're selling our paints to don't understand, but they do. And again, you sort of get that sort of velvety effect, isn't it? Where you say you brush it one way and it marks in the other. And again, these scrubbable based products need a good 7 days to fully cure. And if you do mark it before that, then yeah, it can be a real issue to get away from and resolve. So it's just about certainly making the consumer very aware that if they're rough with it, if they put things up against it too fast, it hasn't cured, then there is a potential to mark in those colours. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Chris,
do we have any more, buddy?
No, there's no more questions on the poll.
I don't know if anybody watching live or anybody that's joined us on our Zoom, if you've got any questions, or you can, if you're on Zoom, you can unmute yourself if you want and ask any questions. So we'll just see if anybody comes on.
There's definitely one thing picking up from some of the comments I've seen on posts about our relationship with Good Home.
Yeah.
So we now can tint into Good Home paints and into Good Home bases. we don't offer the pure brilliant white Good Home. It's simply a tinted base. There's an emulsion and I think an interior trim, and also I think there's a masonry or something like that as well. And that's our relationship with Good Home. We create those bases. In terms of their pure brilliant white, Richard, they're still produced by Henkel.
I think so. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I just see it all the time, and people sort of half arguing about who's who. So yeah, and that's a good entry level, cheaper option. Again, it's actually a really good paint. It really is. That's something we offer.
I've got some couple of questions on the stream here, so I'll fire away. So our customers dark blue scrubbable matte marks even if you brush against it 1 year on? Is it just a case of, you know, darker colors are problematic?
Yeah, I'd say it's an industry-wide issue with darker colors being problematic. A year on, yeah, quite surprised.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, I've got lots of dark colors around my house. I don't have any major issues that mark, I suppose.
It can be subject to a bit of burnishing, can't it? You'll see. So if I have a dark whatever and I rub my hand over it, or if I get my sleeve and rub it over, you'll see that sort of sleeve mark where I've rubbed it. But that will rub off. That will come out if you apply sort of a cleaning cloth to it or something like that. So
don't be afraid to. Do people know what cleaning products to use? Or people just try and wash it off with a wet cloth? You can use as long unbleached, non-bleach based cleaning products on scrubbable paint, and that's what it's designed to do. So what's quite interesting so how you again, paint's manufactured. If you look under a microscope at scrubbable products, they look like waves under there because they're not dead flat, because they have to be that durability. But what that also does do is it does tend to pick up dirt and grime and stuff, more like tiny little barbs sort of thing. So obviously when you scrub, they don't get worn down. So it's not a beautifully like glass smooth finish. So things will get caught on there, but that's why it's designed to be scrubbable and washable, so you can clean that off. So in certain instances, it may be the fact that that it just needs a really good clean. Obviously, oily hands and oils and things like that can stain. But again, they can try to be washed off as much as possible as well.
Cool. Thank you. Somebody's saying your knot block, when will it be available in Telford B&Q?
I'd like to think it's available now. If not, I'll be phoning the commercial team and tell them why not.
And that is one of my stores. So whoever's just grasped me in for that, we'll be having words after the chat, all right?
Ian, you're in trouble, man.
Yeah, there's a big push of stock going into stores as we speak. This is constantly being done. Knot block is a really good product that's always available online. It's a ready mix product. They can probably deliver it straight to your house. If you want to buy a few tins, or certainly click and collect. Even if it's not in store, you can arrange for it to be click and collected next day through tradepoint.com.
The guy who asked that, Ian, saying whoops. Yeah, so any more questions? Anybody on the Zoom want to ask a question, or you can unmute yourself or raise a hand, but if not, we'll just give people a couple of seconds. But I believe we've covered pretty much everything. I believe, it's I love your honesty. It's great to know the background about Valspar. It's all about education, isn't it, as well? And I dare say many of the products were products perhaps used a long time ago, and a lot's changed in the last few years with you guys.
Yeah, massively. It's very interesting. We expect painters and decorators to know everything, don't we? Even if they have passed whatever qualifications they had 10, 20, 30 years ago. Again, it brings back that age-old argument between oil and water-based trim products, doesn't it? If somebody was brought up on oil-based, any conversion, to me, I don't like converting from going to shopping at Tesco's and to Aldi, but so again, it's just how easy and simple we make it. We give people the opportunities to test and trial our products. We give the opportunity to have open and honest and frank conversations with our sales team, and we're just trying to educate people on trying to make fantastic paint that does exactly what you want, that doesn't have to cost the earth, and ensure that you guys can deliver a fantastic end product for your customer. At the end of the day, if your customer's happy, you're more likely to come back and buy our products.
And I think on that point, Richard, about educating, and you might assume we kind of know lots about it, but when I started my group up 16 months ago now, I honestly was just very much in a trance, going to my local store, getting Johnston's, whatever it may be. I wasn't aware of half the companies which I speak to now. In fact, probably 80% of them didn't have a clue. Never heard of Ticarilla, Isomats, all the various different ones, didn't have a clue. And certainly I didn't have a clue about Valspar because I never went into B&Q. So, it's great that you've come on, and you and Chris, and explained a bit more about it. And I appreciate it. No,
been really, really enjoyable. It's nice to get the message out there, talk about our products, understand people's queries, questions, and maybe apprehensions of changing paint. Obviously, as I said, it is a worry. You've been going to the same shop for 10, 15 years. You've always gone there because it's what you know, and you're like, well, actually, I've heard some good things. I want to try it, but it's a lot of money. I don't want to spend 60 quid on a tin of paint just for it to be crap. Yeah. We're not going to throw everything at you, but we're certainly willing to have conversations with people to ensure that they're looked after. We've given them, if they need some tools to help them sell paint to their customers, talk about colour, and then assist them with trialing products and ensuring that they're likely to make that move over to us. Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed, and appreciate people watching and everyone that's attended Zoom. It's been very informative, and hopefully we'll be a bit nicer to you guys from now on. Please.
Don't, that'll ruin it. Carry on.
Chris is 6'6", so if you're not, I'm stood behind him.
Yeah, no sweat at all. Hold on 2 seconds. Oh, somebody's saying they've loved dealing with Chris. That's the same guy that grassed you up.
I'm
no, that's great.
Yeah. Writer now, I think I have. I'll get the money in the post to you.
Yeah. Cheers for your time, everybody, and
thanks very much.
Have a good evening. Yeah.
Cheers. Thank you. See you later, guys.
Bye.